Phishing, vishing, and smishing may sound foreign, but they are all forms of action fraud, deceitful methods used by cybercriminals to trick us into giving out our personal information like bank card details, ID numbers, and even passwords. Now, if you think it won't happen to you, think again, because according to statistics, it's estimated that fraud attempts happen as frequently as every 15 seconds. Now, SABRIC CEO Kalyani Pillay is in the loft to explain how to identify and avoid all of them. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you very much, Jenny.
Now, I don't know if I'm getting old, but phishing sounds like something that we used to go and catch fish with fishing. And smishing sounds like when I used to smooch all the boys at school. They obviously don't have the same meanings.
Sure.
What exactly are they? Let's start with phishing. What is it?
Sure, but before we even go to that, let me tell you that that's not all of it. It's not just phishing, smishing, vishing.
Yeah.
There's spear phishing and there's whaling and it just goes on and on. So there's
but
just
there's
so
whaling
much
and
else.
fraud as well. Hey?
All of it. And just out of interest, the whaling is when they go for the big boys. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. But yeah.
So is that an actual term?
Yes, it is. So spear
amazing.
phishing, whaling, all of it is all part of how we describe different modus operandi.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's start with phishing.
Yes.
What is phishing?
So with phishing, what happens is that the perpetrators use emails to send out communications to their potential victims. They send out hundreds and thousands of emails.
Yes, we've all gotten them.
Yes,
I've been a victim.
They harvest email addresses and just send them out with the hope of having people respond.
Yeah.
It's about manipulating people emotionally. It's about using social engineering tactics to get people to respond. And most often what they do is that they purport to be a bank, a financial institution, or they purport to be some legitimate company. And people, unfortunately, a lot of people respond and they believe these communications.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when you hear about that, you think, oh, but who replies to some of those emails? But I actually got somebody phoning me pretending to be from SARS.
Sure.
And wanted a lot of my personal information. And when it's somebody like SARS, you want to give them a lot of your information because you don't know whether it's legit or not.
Absolutely. And I think also now we're coming up to that time of the year where people start submitting their tax returns.
Yeah.
And of course, like you say, nobody wants to contravene anything with the receiver of revenue. But I think the important thing is, like with your bank, even the receiver of revenue will never ever ask you to click on anything so that you can provide private information.
Yeah.
And I think what happens also, and this is where the social engineering and the emotional manipulation comes in, is where, especially if you take the example on the receiver of revenue, people are so excited about receiving their rebates, they're waiting for this additional amount of money. And what the criminals do is that they actually know this. So they get you to provide them with banking information and also more than what you would be required to give.
Yes.
Normally you would give the receiver of revenue your bank account number, you know, so that they could put it in. But that as well, the receiver wouldn't ask you to give it to them by way of email. You've got to go in. But what the perpetrators do is then they ask you for username, password, PIN number.
No, nobody ever needs that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the important thing, is that whether it's your bank, whether it's the receiver, whether it's anybody, you should never, ever give out things like your banking logon information, your passwords, your PIN numbers. You never have to give it to anybody at all. I mean, the only time you need to put your expiry date and your CVV number
is when you're shopping.
Is when you're shopping online. I mean, Dean, if you and I were talking about shoes, and if we wanted to buy something fancy online, you know, I mean, but the fact of the matter is that it's always important to not sort of get all excited about finding this great deal online, but to look out for the secure signs of HTTPS, and that's really important. That when you're shopping online, look out for that. Look out for secure, the closed lock sign. You know, these are all the things that we should never forget about whenever
that's why we have you to tell us about.
And I think that's the important thing. You know, if I could give one message out that's really critically important, is whenever you're putting your bank account details on anything, whenever you never have to give it to anybody verbally, or those details, but when you're putting it onto on a website, because you're shopping, you must always look out for the security of that particular
Now,
site.
what is vishing and what is smishing?
So all of it, the phishing, vishing, smishing, all seek to do the same thing. That is that they want to try and get personal information and banking information out of their potential victims. With smishing, it's SMS, So you receive it by way of SMS, but very often with smishing, the perpetrators try and get people to click on a link so that the malware gets loaded onto their device. Most of us use smart devices these days. So when that happens is that if the malware has been downloaded onto that particular device, the perpetrator then has access to all your personal information after that.
It's from your phone. They can look at all your things on your phone.
Well, they can even do it with other devices as well. But they often, when they send out the SMS, the smishing mails, the messages, that's what they try and do, is to get malware loaded on, and then of course get you to either call them and that kind of thing. With Vishing, and I always tell everybody the easy way to remember it is with the V, it's voice. So it's a call to you. So they call you and they purport to be someone.
Something vished.
Yes, and they get information out of you. And unfortunately, again, people are still responding.
You know, we need to be so careful, especially because technology is developing faster than what we are learning it.
Sure.
So we need to be extra careful. Thank you so much for coming and teaching us all
pleasure.
about phishing, vishing, smishing. Yeah, I feel a lot more protected now. Thank you. Did you know that it's believed that 1 in every 131 emails contain malware that is used to generate money from unsuspecting users? Join us again next week when SABRIC CEO Kalyani Pillay explains how to avoid email hacking so you don't become another statistic.
We are brave, innovative, everywhere. We are SABRIC.
Hey, Baxter. Now we have the perfect midweek break, especially if you're lactose intolerant. After the break, we make a delicious cashew nuts cheesecake. Plus, we check out what went down at the Lickalicious Dog Park event that was held at the Walkhaven Dog Park in Johannesburg. Do tweet us and hit us up on social media and let us know which SABC soapy is your favorite. Tweet us at Afternoon Chat using the hashtag Afternoon Express or comment on our Facebook page. Where are you going? Where are you going? Hey.